440. Back up now.
Makes me feel a little better.
Janelle, would you do our prayer for us, please?
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you again for another day of life. We appreciate all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We ask that you guide us as we go through these meetings and council meeting tonight. Give us wisdom. Let us make good decisions for the Cherokee people. We ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Michelle, would you do the roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Curtis Snell.
Here.
Frankie Hargis. Present. Jack Baker.
Here.
Harley Buzzer. Joe Bird. Julia Coates.
Here.
Jody Fishenhawk. Janelle Fulbright. Present. John Garvin. Hannah Blair Jordan. Present. Lee Keener. Skip Way.
Here.
Denise Taylor. Here. David Thornton. Victoria Vesquez. David Walking-Stick. Eric Allen Lott.
Honey.
Don Masters.
Okay, moving on down to, need approval of the December 16th regular session meeting. Motion approved. Got a second? A second? All in favor? Am I opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on down to reports, management resources, Bruce Davis.
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon,
Council.
Bruce.
How are you? Mr. Chairman, could I make a statement before we get started?
Sure.
Just back on the doctoral program, you know, as a retired educator, I really feel strongly about the fact that if we have a student that goes to school, gets their master's degree, and wants to work on their doctorate, I fully believe that Cherokee Nation should more than, or try to help those people do that. I'm a firm believer in that. I just want to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have, you have my report before you. If there's any questions that you have, I'd be glad to try to help answer those.
What are questions for Bruce? Yes, Don.
I have a question about wind and water.
Pardon me?
Wind and water.
Wind and water, okay.
Let's start with wind.
Okay.
Wind energy at Chilocco. Can you update us on that?
I have no new information, Mr. Garvin. I can research that for you, unless, Ginger, you want to comment? Sarah Hill's here? Attorney General's office is here. Would you like to ask her that question?
Sure.
All right.
I really don't have any more information than he does. Elizabeth Odell, I talked to her about it. If there are any questions, she would be happy to discuss it. She's the person from our office who's handled it, and she's got the information on that.
I know it was real on top, front burner there for a long time, and it kind of disappeared. I wondered,
And I don't know the status of all the negotiations. She'll have to update you on that.
can you fill us in maybe next month?
Yes, sir. I'll talk to her about it.
Okay, let's switch over to water.
Yes, sir.
Kerr McGee, project from Kerr McGee. Can you bring us up to date on that one?
Are we talking about the land development at Kerr McGee?
Water dam.
I have no knowledge on that either, Mr. Garvin. Sorry.
Well, those are two big items that were real important about a year ago, I guess,
Okay.
and faded away, so
Okay. I'll try to have a report for you at the next council meeting. How's that?
maybe Mr. Thornton can fill me in.
Mr. Thorpe?
I'm reading it also.
Bruce?
What do you think about it?
Kerr McGee,
Could
C
you
and
get
B?
it?
Oh, the land? Buying?
dam.
Power generation.
Okay.
Bruce, could you get us an update?
That's Chanel's district.
I will have you an update at the next council meeting.
Get us an update on the,
I
sure
believe that
will.
the
I sure will.
information is in
Yes, sir.
Congress right now, and they're trying to figure out whether they're going to let us have it or not.
Okay, next month.
Okay.
get us an update, Bruce, and send it to the council if you.
Okay. We'll do that.
Thank you. Yes, Judy.
Have we fixed Marcoma's leaks?
We have that out for a consulting firm now on, you're talking about the gym? Yes, to see exactly what we need to do over there and what it's gonna cost and those kind of things. So it's out there.
That's what you told me last month.
Well, we haven't got it back yet.
He's
Sorry.
actually showed up.
Exactly.
Oh, he has been here?
And he'll be back the week of the 20th. He'll follow up with some pricing.
Well, then we're gonna give it to somebody else if you don't get on the ball.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for Bruce? Yes, Harley.
Bruce, on some of our tribal property, have we held any of that back from lease?
We have not. We have not. And I'll let Ginger explain that to you and why we have not, okay?
Kara?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the Collinsville Food Distribution Center.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm excited about that.
We are too.
Would you check with the local group, that properties adjacent to them, make sure that the utilities are still not being charged to them and those kind of things, and that
Okay.
all of that is rectified?
Sure.
And then, in the report, are you still maintaining the Claremore
We
Federal
are.
Building?
Yes. We are.
I mean, I'm okay with that, because it makes us a good steward
Here,
for,
you know, we were asked to do that. We mow it, we maintain it. It's not ours, but,
because I understand we relinquished it. We gave it completely up. We will have no interest in it,
but
even in future.
no one has told us not to maintain it. We don't want it to be an eyesore, okay, for the city of Claremore,
I concur.
okay? Then that's why we're doing that.
Thank you.
You bet.
Any more questions for Bruce? Thank you, Mr. Davis.
All right, thank you.
Moving on down to Real Estate Services, Ginger Brown.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year. You have my report in front of you. If I might, I can answer Mr. Garvin, it was your question regarding the trust land? No, we haven't relinquished any. We don't have any of the properties that you are having reference to as far as pasture land. That will be up until 2016, December 31st, 2016. That would be available for pasture land. We have them all leased on contract.
And is it a problem that we don't lease some of those properties out and we can
It's not a problem. We would just need to look to see how much money we're losing. Just do a CBA, cost benefit analysis on it to see when that time comes.
we can do it?
We could do it, yes, after the leases are up, yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Lay.
Turn order. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Putting some properties in trust, like the racetrack, Shalaco, I guess you're moving on those, is that what we're waiting on?
Yes, we
an
are.
answer? Yeah.
What we have is on the list on page 2, and there's many steps you have to get in before the application is actually submitted. And we're moving on those.
And I just heard the federal building at Claremore, we've relinquished it. Was it ever given to us?
It was never given to us, no. They decided not to, basically. Right.
Was it offered?
Recently, it has been offered to us in fee only.
So the situation would have been we couldn't take it to trust, I guess. in fee.
That's my understanding, yes. We've also been offered the day schools that were not given to us, and we had submitted, I believe, 6 day schools that have been on the report the past couple of years. And one was submitted, Oaks Mission School, and the BIA is giving that trust to trust. There were the other schools, the other 5 schools, were recently offered to us in fee.
Fee only.
In fee only.
That's the deal, we can never take it to trust.
That's to be determined. That, to be determined. TBA.
Thank you.
Any more questions from Ginger? Yes, Kara?
Thank you. The way I understood it is that we were offered or requested under that federal law for excess property, the Claremore Federal Building. But we only wanted it, I guess the decision now under the new administration was only if it was a direct trust property,
Trust to trust.
trust to trust.
Yes.
So we could have the federal building if we wanted it, but we'd have to accept it in fee and then wait to put it in trust.
Correct.
So we have declined to proceed with accepting the Claremore Federal Building.
We haven't declined as of yet.
Okay, because that was what I think I got in an email, and what we got committee, and what I was told.
But, well,
So
you're
is there now,
correct. Well, you're correct up until about a week ago.
so it's now being reconsidered?
A week ago, we were asked if we would take it in fee. And so I have presented that to administration.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Jordan?
Well, I think there's a little more to not taking it than just, we don't like that it's gonna be in trust. There's the remediation cost.
There's remediation, which Bruce would have the number on the remediation. I think it was $2 million.
So along with taking it in fee, which means it should be taxable
Yes,
on the tax roll.
yes,
Then we'd have to also pay $2 million to try to make it up to par, and that didn't include putting an elevator in.
correct.
And an elevator would cost what? Another $300,000,
David would probably know.
$200,000. That's a bargain compared to the rest of it. And it only has 30 parking spaces, I understand,
Yes,
that's being used already
by the courthouse,
someone else.
by overflow.
So it's a little more than just, we don't wanna take it because we can't get it in trust
Yes,
immediately.
yes.
It's coming up with $2 million immediately to do something with it.
I'm sure there are many parameters they have to look at, including those, yes.
And that's $2 million to remediate about 3,000 square feet.
How many, was it 3,000 square feet?
That's close.
Okay,
That's the size of, a little bit bigger than the size of the old council building.
probably.
To put it in perspective, that's just, well, there's 3,000 square feet here where you're standing with the offices. So that's $2 million to remediate that, and you still have an old building. And then you gotta put the elevator on top of that, and you don't have any parking.
It's been sitting empty for quite some time too, so I don't know when the last time was we looked at it.
6 months.
6 months ago. So I don't know what the shape of it
I know
is.
it's prime real estate for the Claremore area. I appreciate that, but my concern was not so much the trust issue as the financial obligation that we would be undertaking. I'm sure that the government would like to divest ourselves of it. Sometimes getting something for free, you don't get it for free though. So, thank you.
Any more questions for Ginger? Good
Thank you.
report. Moving on down to environmental, Tom Elkins.
Good afternoon. You have our report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. One thing that I didn't put in the report because we didn't know about it at the time, the last 2 years, we've been having what we've called an environmental festival, where many groups in the nation get together, natural resources and our group and 3 or 4 other ones get together and have that environmental festival. And we've usually had it out over in the grassy knoll area over by the old council house or somewhere over there. But we're looking at this year having it at the Job Corps. and we can have some, they've offered us to allow us to use some of their property before. C&B has offered to pay for the food there before, so we're really looking at doing that. At times, we've been rained out and had to do it in the OCO ballroom, so they have a really nice gym there we've used before. The facilities are great. Those kids help. We can help pay for some of that. Their culinary group works with us really well, so we're looking at doing that. And I believe we got a couple dates in April. I think it's the 11th or the 18th. And, we usually bring a few schools in there, as many classes as we can to run those kids through there. And we have partners in other federal agencies, other tribes come in, and then state agencies. And we try to have, well, for lack of other term, science-based training for those kids so that they learn to enjoy those kinds of things. And so that's what we're looking to do with that. We hope that if you have time, and I'll get a firm date for you as soon as we can, and an agenda and some of the things that we'll have going, we certainly hope that you all can come through there. The administration's been very supportive of it, and it's just been a good time for those kids. So I'll get you as much information for that as soon as I can. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Any questions for Tom?
Thank you.
Moving on down to old business. Oh, I didn't mean, oh man, I meant veterans.
That's all right. That's all right.
That'd be Bruce Davis.
You weren't supposed to hear that. Bruce.
Yeah. Stepped right into that one, huh? Yeah. All right. Mr. Garvin, let's talk about the Veterans Center. What do you say? I'm going to defer to David Moore and let him give you a report on the Veterans Center. How's that? Come on up here, David.
The tile in the bathrooms, they've completed that. The flooring, the vinyl flooring that has the emblem on it will be shipped the 21st, and then as soon as it gets here, they'll install that. The cabinets are almost done throughout. The kitchen area is complete. They like a few cabinets, and then the countertops in the bathrooms. And then we'll have some specialty items, toilet partitions, grab bars, and that's it. So we're getting real close.
Is our money holding out okay?
Yes, it is, yeah. Yeah.
Got some left over?
Yes, yeah.
Do that.
Let y'all tell us what to do with it, since y'all gave it to us, so, yeah.
What about the statue?
He's, let's see, at last he's working on the base and using mannequins for the models or something. I don't know. I'd like to go see exactly, and I'll try to get there and just see exactly, his process, because I think it's pretty interesting.
My understanding that the foundry has been used and burned down.
Oh.
And they built a new place there in Pawhuska, so it's changed over. So
Okay.
I'm trying to slow it down, but apparently that's doing pretty good. But, it's there in Pawhuska if you want.
Okay, yeah, I think that's pretty interesting stuff. I mean, I wished I could do something close to that. But yeah, whenever you got time, I'd like to do that.
Good report. Thank you.
Have any questions for David? Yes, Councilman Lay?
Thank you, sir. Who's the vendor's name
On the statue,
on that?
Dan Horse Chief.
Veteran Center, spring leak when it rained or snowed or?
No, there was a valve that was, plumber wouldn't shut off real good, but he's taking care of that. It just leaked.
Where the water came?
Yeah, because we looked everywhere, and that's what it was. So,
What's your completion date this month?
when the last thing's done, no. I hope to be done February, early to mid-February, really do, so.
Like the 7th or 10th?
February. It's hard to start in the middle of something. It really was. This has been a challenge, but you know, it's going to turn out beautiful. It really is.
That's why we picked you.
Well, I appreciate y'all, you know, giving the money to finish this thing because it's going for a really good cause. That's one thing I'm proud of, that Cherokee Nation really recognizes the veterans, and it's pretty neat.
Thank you. Any more questions from Dave?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on down to old business. Mr. Harley Buzzard.
Yeah, I want to hear a report from Mr. Gallagher on when we're going to start planting gardens and keeping buffalo and cattle in there. Give us an update there, DD. Okay.
Well, hello, and I been working on it, and the gardens and the orchards and buffalo and the bison, and I'll start with the gardens update. It's ongoing, and put everybody together that I could find had something to do with the gardens in the past, the Cherokee Nation, and we have had community gardens in the past at Bull Holler Community, Bull Holler Farms, and Delonaghy. We had 3 at one time, pretty good size, and they started out good, but they just fell to the wayside due to lack of work and fencing. Mostly the wildlife had a huge impact on bringing them to a close more than anything else, because there wasn't no wildlife fencing around to keep the wildlife out. And in the past, 20 communities under Dan Greenfeather give $1,800 to 20 communities throughout Cherokee Nation to do gardens, and those gardens also, all of them fell to the wayside due to lack of knowledge mostly, and once again, not proper care and everything. And then there's been some elevated gardens done over here by Healthy Nation. Lisa Pivot, she's done a few, and they've been successful. They've been small, but they're waist-high gardens. And when I say elevator, they're waist-high, and you know, it takes a full-time person basically to care for them and everything. And they're no longer existing. And I think learning from our past mistakes, a community garden could be successful. But I think, you know, wildlife fencing is going to be a must. You're going to have to fence a wildlife fence up, and you're also going to have to provide a fence to keep the people out. When you leave at night, those people who's not working, they're going to come by and they're going to harvest it when it gets ready to go. So what it leads up to is wildlife fencing, the location, water, and a full-time employee. And I think that's what it's going to take to make a community garden successful, in my opinion. I think you're going to have to put somebody over it. Somebody's going to have to be dependable there 40 hours a week, and even in the hot summertime, you're going to have somebody there on Saturday and Sunday to water it. And, you know, day workers are fine, but the thing that was expressed to me about day workers, you know, they didn't know the difference between a pepper plant or a weed. And that was, you know, they didn't have a lot of care in it. And the orchards, apple orchards seem to be the most favored orchard in this area for the climate and everything. Peaches, it's real hard. We only got 1 over 2 at Porter, when we used to have about 20 in this area. And then the grapes, blackberries, and strawberries, they do real well in this climate. Anna Knight has a lot of statistics on it, and they've been real successful with the blackberries here. On 5 acres, they've grossed as much as $30,000 a year raising blackberries. So it has been a proven fact, and Anna Knight has statistics to back it up. And the plums, they do also real well. But when I talk about blackberries, and I talk about grapes, and I talk about strawberries and plums, the birds and the fungus are your 2 worst enemies. And so we have to deal with that too. We have to find something to do about the birds and the fungus that come with that.
I want y'all to raise strawberries, and then we're in the strawberry festival.
Yeah.
I want to see how good jars you do.
Well, I'll put me to the test, I guess. You know, I mean, we can find some land suitable for it. You know, and I think the locations for.
We grow over here with rocks. Don't
I know you
try to
do.
find suitable land. That's
I know. But you know, I think Delonaghy, Bull Holler, you know, you could put an orchard there because we have the water, we have facilities. We could put up a wildlife fence, and we could, you know, provide security and provide the proper maintenance for an orchard. And so, you know, I guess in summary, you know, the old saying is, go big or go home. I mean, you know, how much do we want to put into the gardens? How much do we want to move forward with this? And I think it's really good program. I think nutrition is the key to success, especially in our Native American population, and I'm all for it, and I'm continuing to study about it and get more people involved, and I've got a lot of phone calls from people who's tried it before, and I think it's coming together on the gardening and the orchard. I think that we're getting some people that was interested and kind of been laying back, dormant, and we woke a few up, and so they've called me, and we're trying to move forward on this, and we'll have another meeting probably in 2 weeks, and see what else we can do to learn more about community gardens and orchards. On the cattle, land. Right now, what I'm facing is our biggest concern. I mean, we don't have the land, large quantities of it that's not under lease until 2016, January. Most of them's on a 5-year contract. The land's sizable to run cattle, where it be 300 acres up to 1,200 acres. And so everything's basically under lease, and working with Ginger and Realty and the BIA, you know, they want to keep it leased. They want to keep it occupied and fulfill those leases and commitments that we have obligated, you know, Cherokee Nation for fulfill. So that's basically, my hands are tied on the cattle right now, unless, you know, all the alternative is to find some land that's got corrals, fencing, ponds, grass, and shelter, and buy it if you really want to go move forward on the cattle deal. There is another alternative for the cattle, which is not buying the cattle, but it's forming a co-op with the Cherokee Nation small ranchers and herdsmen. And when I say small ranchers, herdsmen, I mean people with 10 to 15 to 20 head of cattle, and form a co-op out there and in northeastern Oklahoma. And we have a slaughterhouse at Adair, the only one that's USDA. And, you know, we buy the cattle, Cherokee Nation buys the cattle from the individuals. We go get those cattle, we haul them to a holding area, we weigh those cattle, and we pay the people their money without taking out commission. That's the plus. And when I talk about commission, you take them to a local sale barn, you pay a commission to sell your cattle. So what we're going to do is exempt the commission. Those buyers, sellers will be able to get a few more bucks for their cattle, anywhere from $10 to $30, $40 a piece more per head. And then we go to the slaughterhouse and we develop a Cherokee Nation brand, a stamp on the meat. And we take that meat and we market it in northeastern Oklahoma, in the casinos, in the schools, and into the stores. And it's a big program, but it's one way of getting into it. And once we outgrow the slaughterhouse, the packing house at Adair, then we look at growing into the packing house ourselves and growing into this. So it's something that's been talked about. It's just basically, I give you the rough graph of it. I mean, we're talking about somebody to be a marketer, somebody to go out, 2 marketers, one to market the cattle, keep up on the price of cattle, weigh them and write the checks. We're talking about transportation. We're talking about somebody else marketing in the meat and selling it and being responsible for getting it out so we can get paid for the cattle that we bought. And so that's one alternative. But that's it on the cattle. And then on the bison, I think we need to start small. I really do. I've weighed it and talked to everybody. I think we got a lot of fear and opposition on bison just because we don't know about the bison. We're a little scared about the bison. We hear a lot of negative thoughts and everything about the bison. So I think that if we start small and we put them some place where we can monitor them and keep an eye on them, and once again, the land, it's all obligated right now. But there is a few places that we might be able to put the bison in a small amount, where I'm to say 8 to 12 head or so for viewing, and also be symbolic with the Cherokee Nation. And then we learn about them. We learn about the DNA, the genetics. We learn about the nutrition programs that we need to do with them. And we join the Intertribal Buffalo Council in December. And we were the 59th tribe to do it. We made the headlines in Tulsa World. You might have seen it about the bison. This past weekend, there was a little article about it. So we're really moving forward on that. Probably of all four things I'm talking about, the bison is probably up in front right now. And but I want to go. I mean, when I look at the small programs, I got 3 key areas I like to go look at, and I probably will this week. Sulphur, Oklahoma, right downtown. Beautiful bison right there in the center of Sulphur, Oklahoma, and it's maintained, it's secured, and it's a big drawing card for the city of Sulphur. And then Afton Farms right up there east of Afton, Buffalo Farms up there. It's a well-kept, maintained facility. It's got a little wagon out front, little building out front, just a hog wire, 8-foot hog wire around it. There's probably 10 or 12 bison in that. And then downstream casino, as you drive down the path from that driveway going down to the casino on the left, you'll see an orange pipe fence. It's a 6-bar fence. And they have bison in there, and I might say real good quality bison in there. And so all of them's got anywhere from 8 to 15 bison in those 3 locations. They're really symbolic with what they try to do with their tribes and relate to the tribes. And I think if we started there, we'd build a safe and secure program and prove to everybody that we can handle them. We can provide safe environment for everybody, the bison as well as the people that are around them, viewing them and everything. It would be a good move. So that's my report, and we're still working on it.
GV, and I think GV, but probably I'm not an expert on any of it, so it sounds like there's some things that may come to fruition of this report you've done, especially the gardens. I think we probably need to get involved with people that want to get involved with it. I don't think we need to push it off on anyone that doesn't want it.
I agree.
The cattle is something that, could be in the future. The bison, I think we would depend on you to come back with a report of what we want to do or what you think might work for us. So, the orchard, the fruit trees and stuff like that, I think those are things that could be on the horizon to do in the future. It's not doing this year, the next 6 months, but it's an idea to get these thoughts and things out there and start thinking about. So I thank you for the report. Thank you for letting the council members know what's out there. So if you want to come back with some recommendations for us, I'd like to hear it.
I'd be happy to. Sure would. Thank y'all.
Good report, GV.
Mr. Walker, sir, just a minute.
Yes.
GV, how long does that hay keep for?
That what?
How long does the hay keep for?
Hay? Oh, it'll keep a couple of years. It's net wrap, and it's that net wrap provides runoff from the water and the hay. I mean, the snow and everything. And it'll keep. It'll get a little rotten on the bottom, but I mean, it still stays together and stuff. But it loses a little nutritional value in the second year, but it's still durable.
Okay, so we're just gonna hold on to the hay until we find out what we're gonna do with the bison or cattle?
Yeah, we're in the process. We just approved a resolution with Realty and Natural Resources this past week. Bruce just signed it, and we got our hay resolution done where we can sell the hay.
For how much?
$25 a bale,
For,
up to 25 bales per person, or and per card holder.
that's good, that's reasonable.
Yeah, and I think right now it's $25 a bale, and so
Yeah,
we're in the process. We've had several phone calls, and we're starting to move it.
That's good, thanks, GV.
All right.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, GB. Well, we're moving on down to new business. Tom, you got anything to say about Tom Elkins?
Sir. This is a grant application to EPA for brownfields. We've done several projects. I think the latest one we did was the Saline Courthouse. I don't know if you saw that whole project, but that was completely encapsulated while they removed all that lead-based paint. This would be to address some of the asbestos issues at Marcoma. There is an escrow account there that shows a little bit of match with that. There is an escrow account that can only be used for things like that at Marcoma. And if we got this grant, we could use that to help with that and get a lot of that taken care of all in one shot. So.
Does this need to go to council tonight?
Yes, ma'am, it does, if at all possible.
Friendly to
motion? Got a motion and a second. Well, this grant is I'll read the resolution. The resolution authorizing the Cherokee Nation Environmental Program to submit a formal application to the USD Environmental Protection Agency for a Brownsville cleanup grant for the lead-based paint and asbestos cleanup at the Mail Seminar property. And it's for $200,000 and asking for $40,000 matching funds. And Joe's moved for his approval. I got a second. Gary, you got over.
Frank,
You have any questions? No. You have any questions? Yes, Nick.
That could be added, please.
Added sponsor, Mr. Lay, the sponsor. Any more?
Like to be added also.
go and add all of
Add
this.
everybody's sponsor. Who don't want to be? Add everybody's sponsor.
Add everyone but Joe.
Now, all in favor of this motion?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you all so much.
All right.
Thank you, Tom. And moving on down, let's see, the next meeting is Monday, February 10th, 4 o'clock. Adjournment,
I like motion to adjourn.
There's one announcement.
we got an announcement.
Our group picture is at 5:15 down in the council chamber.
Just right now.
5 minutes to
Lipstick.
get ready.
Go promote mate work on.
Okay, we got,
Just letting you know, the men will be seated this time.
all in favor of adjourning?
Power to the women. Power to the women.